everybody. I'm Dr. Anita Madhok, coaching psychologist and managing director of Open Spaces Consulting. I'm very happy to bring to you yet another edition of Enlightened Conversations with Subject Matter Experts. Today, we are going to be talking about how global workforce trends are driving construction talent to the Gulf. So as you know, the Gulf region has become a magnet for construction talent, which is driven by a combination of economic incentives and unparalleled opportunities. According to some reports, the construction industry in the GCC countries is valued at over $1.3 trillion, fueled by mega projects such as Saudi Arabia's NEOM and Qatar's World Cup infrastructure, which just got concluded. Construction professionals are attracted to tax-free salaries, which can be sometimes 30 to 40% higher than in their countries, and an opportunity to work on innovative, large-scale projects that enhance their career profiles and offer endless opportunities to learn and grow. Additionally, the ILO, or the International Labour Organization, notes that the Gulf employs a significant proportion of migrant workers, with expatriates making up over 85% of the workforce in countries like the UAE. These factors, combined with modern infrastructure and job stability in a thriving industry, make the Gulf countries a top destination for construction talent globally. Today, our subject matter expert, Arvind Chandak, is an HR professional with more than 3 decades of experience in diverse industries like FMCG, B2B in India, UK, Turkey, Russia, African countries, and now also in the Gulf countries. I spoke to him from his office in Doha, Qatar, and I would like to specially mention his experience in the construction sector with several years with L&T ECC in the GCC countries at Qatar. Arvind now runs Mindstream HR Consulting as the managing director since the last 5 years, catering to a large number of clients in the construction sector with services like talent recruitment, outsourcing, learning and development, and digital HR. He has a number of certifications and accreditations to support his professional profile. So over to Arvind Chandak. So we are very happy to have with us our subject matter expert for the day, Mr. Arvind Chandak, who is the managing director of Mindstream based in Delhi. And they have a wide presence in some of the Gulf countries, particularly in Qatar and Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. So Arvind, I know you as a truly grounded HR professional since before you entered the construction industry, and I've followed your progress over the years. Today, I would like to tap on your experience and expertise in human resources, especially for the construction sector, which has large project-based manpower requirement and huge labor and skills shortages, particularly with reference to the Gulf countries and the construction boom that had happened early on in the Gulf countries and where we are today. So tell us, today, according to you, Arvind, what are the specific economic and career opportunities that make the Gulf region still attractive to construction professionals?
Thank you first. Thank you for inviting me, and it's a pleasure. Especially, when it is NICMA graduates that are going to be the audience primarily, and of course, other people who watch this on the web. There is so much excitement. I have had my journey through various industries from manufacturing, FMCG, horology, automotive. But construction, I find, is the most lively, the most exciting. And for us as HR professionals, whatever year you are in, year 1 to whatever is the year I am into now or you are into, it's always an exciting journey because irrespective of the industries we are in, the excitement is always of the changing times and how do you respond to it. So I will try that my answers are more directed towards NICMA graduates with whom I have had associations earlier while working with Larsen & Toubro and GCC. And L&T has a very close relationship with NICMA. There are a lot of tie-ups which are there for a long period of time.
True.
So going back to your question in terms of economic and career opportunities in the Gulf region, Gulf always has been attractive. People have been attracted to Gulf for career opportunities. The salaries are attractive. The salaries are tax free. So whatever you work on, it's yours and you transfer it back home.
True.
And back home, when you do the conversion from a Qatari riyal or Saudi riyal or an AED, it makes a lot of difference to the family, to the saving, to whatever plans are.
Mhm.
In addition, what has happened is in the GCC, it is like a movement that happens. UAE is having events, 5 years of UAE, oh, expos coming, expo,
Yes,
and a lot of ecosystem around that, and that opens up opportunities because they are big projects. These big events don't happen overnight. In construction, they take time, and that provides people career opportunities to be able to move forward. So what has happened is in Saudi, Qatar, Dubai especially, the infrastructure over the last 5 years, there has been a relatively high. For Qatar, it was a big high because of FIFA stadiums, the World Cup, FIFA World Cup, that required a lot of work to be done. So over 10 years, practically before whatever you saw,
yeah,
that was a hard work and planning of many people and
yes,
many teams and many companies
yes,
before all that happened. So Qatar has had its high. Saudi right now is on a high. So what happens is now Dubai is okay, running steady. Qatar has had its own now. Oil and gas in Qatar is high, but not construction. Saudi Arabia, it is both oil and gas and construction.
okay,
So there are opportunities, and sometimes one would hear, oh, somebody is coming back from Saudi. There are people returning. It's not a broad stroke. It
okay,
depends. For example, Saudi Arabia, a lot of construction activity is happening, a lot of activity is happening in oil and gas,
yes,
but the big signature project NEOM, that had a downsizing for whatever be the reasons. So a large number of people engaged there had to find themselves and relocate.
yes.
And that is something, whether we are in India or we are in GCC, we have got to learn to accept that today it is always changing times. Nothing is constant. And that has become a way of life. So, I see that in terms of the infrastructure projects that are on, whether it's oil and gas or construction, it is a lot of scope for people from India. And the learning and growth this offers. See, in India also, for example, L&T maintains high standards of safety, of quality. L&T does iconic projects. So people in India also learn. There are career opportunities. But the standard that is there in GCC is far higher.
Yes,
I can tell you on quality as well as on safety, it is far higher than what it is in India. And
true.
it is not only confined to staff, it is more so with the workers. Not only your direct workers, but also people you take from vendors, which are your temporary workforce that you bring in. The standards of expectation of safety compliance from them is extremely high. So all this is a learning. So if I say a DICPA graduate gets the chance to be able to come and work abroad, there's so much learning. And that learning and growth that happens working on iconic projects, quality and safety standards, which you learn and it becomes a part of your way of life, advanced technologies you get exposed to, international consultants and contractors you get to work with. That's what gives people the economic and career opportunities in the Gulf. So
So,
I hope that answers
there's
your question.
opportunity to learn, and that's a big attraction too.
Absolutely,
And
absolutely, and I'll talk about it a little later when we get the chance to about what is this learning that is there, and why it is important for a DICMA graduate.
why don't we address that question now? So, what is the specific learning, and why is it so valuable to?
See, what happens is, and I start from the approach, approach that I had the benefit of having good mentors through whom I learned a way of life in terms of work life. And also, what I advise all the people that I work with and consult with is that it's not what you should earn, it is not what role you should play. It is your path, is where do you want to be? Where are you now? Where do you want to be? Identify, because each person is wired.
Yes.
He's wired to do something, he or she is wired to do some things more than some other things. So the world has changed. The world is willing to accept you, and the awareness is greater, especially in the younger generation. So all NICMA graduates also should find what is their wiring, what excites them more.
Yeah.
Is it the quantity serving? Is it the construction? Is it a desk job, or it is a work at site? So the initial steps, especially, are very important, and everybody at NICMAR would have had some previous experience already of 1 to 2 years. So it's not that they are young kids who don't know what they are looking for. But the point that I want to make is, focus on what you want to be,
Yes.
and then focus on the learning, not the role. I want to be a general manager. When somebody tells me, I kind of start wondering. But if somebody says, look, I want to work on this project, this is the roles I want to play, the role, not the designation. That is the hunger. The hunger to learn makes the way and the path for the career to progress further. So that is
That's quite
where
impressive. That's quite impressive because it's not just for money that people go, but there's a big opportunity to learn, grow, and forge a career for oneself.
and money comes your way. The money does not go anywhere. It does come, and that is where I feel that one has to keep looking. Keep reviewing? Am I in a comfort zone?
Yes,
Whether you're young or old, you experience for 20 years or you experience 1 year, constantly be healthily restless. And when one is healthily restless, means you are not lying in the status quo. My learning has stopped. And every 6 months, I feel it is something, or could be whatever cycle one is comfortable with. Review, you want to change a job. What ship do I want to be on? The ship matters, not the superior. People leave because of superiors, but it's the ship which matters. The superiors are not the reason to leave. If you're on the right ship, then every 6 months or whatever cycle, challenge yourself. Don't wait for superiors to tell you. It has to be you yourself setting, oh, what is happening around? What are the projects? What can I do? What I don't know about? And is it exciting for me to get to know that? So those are things where you walk out of the comfort zones, do your core well, keep learning, keep creating your signature. Because whatever you learn will be your signature. Don't be a rolling stone that gathers no moss.
yes,
And then in addition to that, like I was listening to one of your videos, I really liked it. Mr. Nathan was there with you, I think, Deloitte, right?
right.
And he rightly said, it is so important that one should focus on not only doing what you know, but also participating at every task force which is there. Be the first one to volunteer.
Yeah, it's an opportunity.
Participate.
It's an opportunity.
Yeah, that's the chance you get to learn, to challenge yourself. And when you interact with others, you create visibility.
True.
When you create visibility, you participate, then you create credibility. And finally, the result of that is your career progresses. Your career progresses with everybody wanting that you be on the part of their team. And this is what my input to all NICPAR people would be, that it is not what you have learned, it is what you have still to learn. Look around, excite yourself, and keep being focusing on that. All of us have a circle of influence. And again, as Nathan had also said, and I totally believe in it, Everybody is a leader. It's not the designation, you know. It is, and it's a fact of life in war or in any critical situation. Sometimes the people who are supposed to be leaders freeze, get frozen, and it is somebody else who starts managing that crisis. So, in a standalone situation, also, the mindset is needed where each person in this value chain, because companies run horizontally, they don't run vertically. The value chain is horizontal, it's a process driven outcome.
Okay,
And the weakest link, the strongest part of the chain is the weakest link.
the weakest link.
And each person is a leader. If he or she takes in and asks what I want so that I can serve the next process step better, that's what causes the strength. And this is where people have to look at their circle of influence and see in my circle of influence, how can I expand that? Whether it's in a meeting, it is a task force, keep building one's connections and keep building one's learning.
So I'm so glad I brought this inspirational piece from you to participants of the NICMAR Executive Development Program. And we can definitely see a very inspirational and very, self-realizing kind of career path ahead for those who move to the Gulf countries, because the standards are higher and the work atmosphere is a lot more conducive. But do tell me one thing, uh, particularly the Middle East, some of the lifestyle differences are there. Materially, life is definitely better. Culturally, some values are common and some values are not common because of difference in regional cultures and religious cultures as well. So, how does this impact the decision of construction talent? You go to work, you go there. Sometimes you leave your family behind because it's not conducive for women, or your wife has a career here, or So, how do
Yeah,
factors come into play when people make a decision to move to the Gulf, particularly in construction sector?
it's a very good question and very relevant. And anybody who's first time wanting to go, yeah, or is taking up something needs to know is a couple of things. One is communication. I've come across brilliant guys, brilliant engineers, you know, who know their job well. Ask them to talk, stand and talk to five people, and they freeze. So when you're working in the GCC, it's not the local lingo that you're used to. In India, still, when people from one sector of India or one region of India come together, they will come together and start talking in their own language and still carry on their work. Because India is such a diverse country and their diversity sometimes is positive and sometimes the diversity is not respected. So you can have in one room people sitting from the north, people sitting in the south, and the people from the south will be talking with each other in their own language. People from the north will be talking in Hindi, which the South Indian may not understand. This does happen. But here it is very important that the one not only communicates, one also becomes inclusive in your communication. So this is something which is a challenge for people who come out. If their English is not that good, they need to see this as a great chance to be able to work on that, not to not to stay away, not to be in a comfort zone that look, let me not talk, let me. So one is communication. So when you are out here outside, it is very important that you communicate, because if you don't communicate, how will people get to know you? The visibility and the credibility, these two parts that I keep talking about, only comes through communicating. And this communication, whether it is in writing or it is in person, people need to work on it. The medium is English out here. The second part is the diversity is such that it's a great chance that people get to see different people, different nationalities, and diversity in all its manifested parts, like we have in India. People think differently. Culturally, they have a different background. The fact is that the organization, and here since the diversity is in your workplace, you have people from the Arab world, you have people from the Western world, you have people from Eastern Europe, and you have people from Pakistan, other nations also. So, working with together with them is a challenging thing, which people need to embrace, accept, and see to it that, for example, if there's a meeting, there's a tendency for people who I'm from, let me now talk to my people from South India, and the Arab would be sitting. And the Arab also would do that, is talk in Arabic with his own people. But important thing is for Nikpar people, I'll again refer to Nikpar and I'll keep referring that. One needs to see that when I'm going out, I am going to be an international person, an international professional. So, what I'm carrying with me and my value systems, my beliefs, all that, yes, they are mine. And I'm proud of them. I'm proud from where I have come from.
True.
But I need to now embrace the world. So, when I have my open arms,
Now I'm a global citizen and I'd
I
like
am a global citizen. And how do I become a global manager? Irrespective whether I am in my year 2, year 3, year 5, year 10 of working. And when you
But
have your
whether you're
antlers
working
out,
in the Gulf or you're working in the US or any other country in the world, you have to behave in a globally relevant manner.
so when you have that open stance, you receive, you gather, you respond.
Yeah.
And that's where your circle of influence widens and your visibility and your credibility wide rest comes your way because you learn more, your knowledge builds up, and you take control. So culturally, very important to manage diversity in the GCC. Uh, the the cultural side also here is that one has to respect the local norms. There are certain local norms. There are some beliefs that people have and they are aware, which are myths. I can tell you after working at the GCC for a long time, people are very welcoming. Whether it is in Saudi Arabia or it is any part of GCC, people are very welcoming, you
Okay.
know. But you have to reach out to them. You have to be friendly. You can't be confining yourself. And so, in terms of managing diversity, it is important. People do have a challenge because most of the jobs are single status jobs. You're away from your family, as you said. So that is a challenge that people have. But that is where they can take. India is not far away. So the beauty is GCC, India is just a hop. Whichever part of India we are in, you take a flight and so one can plan one trip back home. But wherever one gets a family status, the countries here do permit in the residency that happens that you can bring in your family. There are certain criteria, but there are a lot of people who have their family here. The quality of living is very good, in terms of amenities, medical, infrastructure, law and order, all over very safe.
Yeah.
In Qatar, I can leave my house open and nobody is going to come and burgle it. So these are positive things that are there.
Yeah.
Uh, One of the challenges which is there when people come here is in terms of not taking care of their health. And maybe it's the environment here that people land up adding weight. So, keeping a focus in terms of one having walks or regular exercises, I think that's a standard thing in India also. But more so when you're away from your family, you need to take care of yourself.
In India, we are seeing
So,
huge amount of investment in employee wellness programs.
yeah. So here also companies support all that. And that is something which people need to be mindful of. And residency here is there. So long-term people can look at residency as long as they have got a job and they have a way of being able to take care of them. But the fact is, you cannot become a resident easily. So that is a way of, lifestyle differences are there. The lifestyle is far better out here than it is in India. You earn more also. Of course, the cost of living is higher, but then your quality of living is good. But one has to be mentally prepared that this is my long-term temporary home.
Okay.
It is not
I like
something
that. Long
I
term
will,
temporary. I like it.
yeah.
Long
So it is important that back home, one has got one span that one kind of works towards, buys, puts together, or has that you don't stay away completely that I'm never going to go back to my home. Your home is your home. So for me, India is India. It's my country, and I need to be back at some stage. So till I'm enjoying my work, till I'm enjoying my career, stay out. And wherever there is, a need to get back, you should certainly start discovering, oh, I don't know, now I cannot culturally adjust. My children cannot culturally adjust. So over a period of time, as you grow, family grows, people do face challenge that their children grow up and they're not you because the parents never took them home. They always kept outside.
Okay.
A
So,
last one on this. A last one on this is when you are in the GCC, the one good thing is GCC location is such that you can do a lot of visits to various countries around as a tourist. So that's good for the individual, good for the family, and this just value adds to your perspective when you go around the world. So from here you can go to Georgia, you can go to various places, tourist spots that people plan for, which they don't plan that much from India as much they can do sitting out here. Over to
great.
you.
So lots of benefits of living and working
Absolutely.
the Gulf countries, particularly in construction sector, and also the other sectors which
Yes.
are also catering to oil and gas and IT sector as well. My one last question to you is HR in India is a very evolved function. There's a
Mhm.
gamut of HR initiatives and technology supported, AI supported now. How is that different from the HR practices that prevail in the Gulf? What are some of the key differences that you would say? Because here we face different challenges of workforce retention and employee wellness, and there are a different set of challenges. So, what are the key
In,
differences?
okay, very good. In India, across India, things have evolved. In GCC, it's not at that stage still. Whatever people will talk, and they will tell you that we have engaged all the best of, consultants to provide us. Practicing is difficult. So, but what happens is, whichever companies have a, international, footprint, they are professional here because what they do in US also happens here.
Okay.
So, for example, let's take the example in construction, Larsen and Toubro. I'm a great fan of L&T, because L&T has got some of the best HR practices in construction, and they've been awarded rightfully for that every year.
True. We know
So
that.
what happens is L&T not only does for let's take up care of let's look at L&T. L&T has plans how they go for growing their talent, and that is just not applied in India, it is applied here in GCC also. Same approaches, you know, same assessment of needs, same way of assessing the needs, same way of what are the learning paths available. Learning paths. I'm not talking of career. I'm talking of learning paths available. How you can access them. The programs are designed. The experts are there. There is nothing spared in terms of if somebody has to go through something, all the avenues are created for them, including, of course, virtual learning. So, just like L&T, there are other construction companies also, which have this international. It is done by them. But the difference is not all companies are like that. You know, you'll have a lot of companies which are providing the jobs, but their focus is I have hired you, get the project done, that's it. And learn on the job, learn by yourself.
Yeah.
There also, my advice to youngsters is doesn't matter. You decide your path. You decide how you want to learn. You're going to spend 5 years out here, then you have enough spare time on the Fridays, which are the off days out here. It is a different thing in the UAE, but otherwise, Fridays are the off days in a 6 day working cycle for construction people. It is for people to go and for additional courses. For example, for DICPA graduates, I have seen, and L&T does this, is L&T has a tie-up with IIT.
Yeah.
L&T has a tie-up with NICPAR. Your L&T has a whole lot of tie-ups with where? PMP. So, it is for the individual to decide what I want to learn and find ways, even if the company is not having that, nobody stops you from learning. And here in GCC, while in India one is busy with family, relatives, all that, here you do get the time. So for DICPA graduates, what I want to convey is it's in your hands. You are the captain of your ship in terms of driving how, especially you get the window to be able to grow yourself in GCC.
That's amazing. That's a wonderful, very inspirational conversation that we've had with you. And I think very, very inspiring for those who are going to be participants of the NICMAR Executive Education for whom we are recording this, plus also anybody in the construction sector who is looking at Gulf as an opportunity for learning and growing and career, and not just from an economic, welfare point of view. So thank you so much, Arvind, on behalf of Open Spaces Consulting and on behalf of NICMAR and on behalf of everybody who is watching this. Very, very warm word of thanks. Is there any one sentence message you might want to give the audience here today?
What I want to tell the DICMA graduates is, take charge, drive things yourself, don't wait. You are a leader irrespective of what your role is. You take charge. For example, performance management, everybody hypes how sexy their performance management systems are. I have seen it all, MNC, everything. What stops you to wait for that annual cycle where your superior will call and tell you? You take charge. You decide every month, what have I done? I'm just giving it one closing example. What have I done? Let me put it down. Let me put up to my superior. I will ask him time. Whether he or she gives me time or not, I am going to be the one who will be proactive. So one has to be proactive all through life, and you see that you are the captain of your ship and the doors universally will open up for you. So that's my last passing comment.
So to paraphrase, you are a maker and not a taker. And
very well put, Anita.
Thank you so much, Arvind. I'm really, really thankful to you and wish you a good day.